So Swamp Foxes has a lot of experience here in Grim Plexus. They were able to come up with a winning strategy against Smoke Adders, but at the same time, JGX got a really good look at how they played. Are they going to try and mix something up here to be able to surprise JGX, or are they going to just try and refine their existing strategy, which could be a detriment to them?
Yeah, I think if you're JJX, you have to have been practicing on Grim. You saw 3 straight matches for Swamp Foxes on this map. You have to expect that that's something they're comfortable with, that they want to play. So this should not be a surprise to either team. And we'll just have to see who's got the better strats and can pull it out.
So obviously a lot of fighting going to be across Theta, but a lot of the outskirts fights are where it's going to all go down. We are on the JGX side right now. Looks like we've got ourselves a Marauder, Banshee, Hunchback 4P, Black Knight. Banshee bringing the PPC AC-10. Got a lot of
second time we've seen
damage.
Marauder today. Yeah.
Yep, AC-10s for the Annihilator. We got a Locust, a Wolfhound, and a Javelin. So pretty standard deck with adding in that Marauder. We don't have any Stalkers in this one, but they do have that slow Annihilator. What do you have over on the other side?
A little bit of a faster deck. We saw this earlier today, the same sort of deck, getting rid of the Annihilator, instead going with the awesome Black Knight, Banshee, Stalker, and then bringing in a Hunchback, Javelin, Locust, and Wolfhound. Javelin, pretty popular on this map. I kind of like the Phoenix Hawk that we've seen a couple times different teams bring. Gives you a little more range, still pretty good mobility, kind of supporting these light caps, which is all important on this map.
Locust.
And it looks like 228 making a play for Theta. A Locust versus Locust at Theta, but I think the 228 Locust is alone.
They have angles on him, though. They might be able to flush him out. There's multiple mechs able to hit from multiple angles, but he was able to flip it. Dario is going to try for a little bit more of a cap, and Draven Cult in that other Locust forced out at 92%.
Yeah, and that's big for JJX. It's important to get that Theta early on because it's definitely the most contested early cap point. Epsilon, the next one, and 228 has not grabbed Epsilon yet, but they are sending a Wolfhound over there to grab it.
The only thing that would be worse, about, you know, losing Theta would be if you stuck around long enough to get killed. So Draven Cult smartly pulling out and going back to the main body so they can start working some Epsilon caps.
That being said, JGX's main body is much more aggressive here. They're moving up to Epsilon in force, and this Wolfhound is getting out from the smoke, but he needs to know that there's a lot of mechs heading up that way.
So that quick speed off to this left side prevented the easy cap of Epsilon. Looks like they're going to still try it, and they did manage to get it. Odin Steel in that Wolfhound.
He's going to have to get out of town pretty soon here.
Yeah, they need to be careful not to overstay their welcome. That Hunchback, Wolfhound, Javelin, and Locust, it's going to be a 4v3 fight if they don't leave. But they do have a little bit of help on the backside with the Black Knight.
Yeah, they do have some support on the backside here. Both teams taking out these UAVs pretty quickly here. I haven't seen any LRM fire. There is a Stalker on the field for 228, but not necessarily that much of a concern having the UAVs. It's more of protecting the cap, which they are unable to do so right now.
I think they saw that Hunchback, and they are trying to get out of there. The Javelin getting the message a little bit late, though, kind of backing out. He's overstaying his weapon, his welcome. I don't know if he got the memo here, but he's staying in his ground, and he does have help over the top.
But he can't get legged. He's still there.
He is center torso wide open now. I think he stayed a little bit too long, maybe to get the LRM locks.
Coming for more.
But I think he should have pulled out of there a little bit quicker than that, down to 41%. Cherry, essentially Cherry center torso. And even still, Wolfhound coming in on the backside, scoring that kill. And Dr. Killer goes down.
That's big.
So they're trying to keep pressure.
Main body for JGX is kind of climbed up and held position on the hill. 228's main body is close to that hill, but they're on the backside of it. They're not cresting at this point. Looks like they're trying to maybe give a little bit of supports to their light, but this Stalker is out in the open. He's about to start getting a lot of fire. He's taking fire from 2 angles at this point. Not good position for this Stalker. Not sure what he was trying to do. Maybe support the lights, but he's going to take a lot of damage.
He's going to run into terrain here.
And he's turning to engage the other guys. He's got to realize he is out in the open right now.
I think what they need is to get aggressive here because they're down 3 caps, essentially 4 caps to 0 now. They don't have time to mess around. Draven Cult is picking up Theta though, but they do not have time to be messing around. There is one light capping instead of fighting, so they're even 7-7. I think now is the time to get in there and get the job done, but they're stalling out again, and this is what we saw with 228, where they just took too long to decide to go. They should have gone a while ago, especially since they had more speed.
Peeking by mechs right now, and no concentrated push. I mean, the Black Knight's kind of backing up off the hill. The Stalker has been up at the front this whole time. Awesome on the other side of the hill. He's kind of poking on his own. Not coordinated right now by 228. JGX feels like they've got control of the map so far. They've obviously got the cap lead, but they are the ones being aggressive here, which is a little interesting.
I think Annihilator's giving it to this Awesome now. He's trying to spread as much as he can, get around the corner.
228 does get the Banshee. They need to keep this rolling, take down the Marauder as best as they can. Take advantage of the fact that Annihilator is so slow. But the Stalker, again, overstaying his welcome out in the open. This Stalker is Iron Kilo.
Yep.
Is going as far forward as he can go.
Sherrod in that Hunchback 4P, trying to work down the other Hunchback here. Is he got his shoulder still? Looks like he's basically sticked. He's got a small laser left. But they need to clean up sooner rather than later.
I believe they actually sticked the Annihilator as well, so they are pulled off of him. They still need to clean up faster than what they're doing right now.
Some quick kills there. We've got 3 of the big boys down for JGX, but they lost the Black Knight and, of course, lost that Javelin earlier. They are starting to clean this up, but now they've got a wolf pack out there that's going to be running these caps and running them hard. They basically need to finish up on those last couple mechs, spread out, and guard.
Them. They capped Kappa, and Sliver capped it, and immediately behind that Locust was another Locust to come in and back cap behind 228, preserving this cap. I mean, a 5 cap.
5 cap.
You can't let this happen.
Did I just see two kills just suddenly happen? What happened over Theta?
I believe so.
Gogil and the Javelin came in to start messing with Theta, trying to stop that recap, and actually scored. It looked like a double kill. They popped up immediately. Iron Kilo's left there with one large laser, one medium.
There's
He's
not
just
enough
too
mechs
slow
on the field. There's a light fight happening over at Kappa as well, but it's just way too slow of a response by 228. They've got to recognize the caps are not in their favor. Locust for 228 gets legged at Kappa.
Sherrod does not. Oh man, that was a clean strip of his shoulder too. He's got one medium laser, one small laser. And now the Wolfhound in there with a heck of a lot more firepower is going to mess with this Hunchback. He's stopping the recap of Epsilon, and this is just a very clean move by JGX of their lights to just delay in their favor with 3 caps bleeding off. And I don't see this Hunchback being able to finish off this Wolfhound.
Iron Kilo at Theta lost his weaponry. He goes down. That Javelin.
That's over then. There's no way they can come back from this now. So, chalk it up, in my opinion. 228 should have known better based on their experience with Smoke Adders. They needed to get that aggression earlier, especially when they see a cap point flashing. Yes, they lost a Javelin early on. I think they still could have pulled it off, though. I think they could have if they were aggressive.
But certainly the early engagement with the lights really didn't help. JGX aggressive towards Epsilon with their main body and the wolf pack at the same time. 228 didn't recognize it or didn't make the right call at the right time. Committed that Javelin for far too long. Had the Wolfhound come in afterwards. They take a lot of damage as well. Just not a clean performance by 228 there. And JGX on the other hand had the correct light play. They had the support to go along with it, and 228 played right in their hands. They kind of moved main body to keep an eye on Theta and Epsilon, and that's where 228 hung out.
I can agree with that, definitely. I mean, there was some key points in here that you can identify as being what caused 228 to lose that. The thing is I think that a lot of that stuff can be fixed here going into drop 2. And they did this against Smoke Adders. They were given an opportunity to come back and did so, and came up with a win 2-1. So yes, they lost this match, but this stuff I think is things that can be cleaned up. They can clean this up in this next drop. They just need to talk it over with their team in the limited time that they have available between drops, and just try and figure out what went wrong. And
Yeah.
there were glaring issues in my mind. Too much of a commitment over Epsilon, leaving Dr. Killer there way longer than he should have. Like, I don't know how that happened, if he thought he was getting locks for his one stalker to rein in on them. He had 4 mechs he was up against, and maybe he didn't know that there was 4 mechs there, but overstaying his welcome and paying for it, ultimately getting killed by the Wolfhound coming around the side and getting that last key shot on him. That in itself was such a huge, devastating loss for 228. But then the main body shifting far right to keep messing with Epsilon like it mattered, and then allowing JGX to move up and get on top of him and start putting some damage down on him. But 228 won that main body fight. They
did, but at the same time, I feel like if you look at that match versus 228's match versus Smoke Adders, to me, Smoke Adders made some mistakes and things. I don't think there were a lot of mistakes that JGX made. I liked their play. I think their play was definitely committed to having an engagement in the Epsilon Theta area. That's where they moved right off the bat, and maybe if 228 had kind of rotated away from them and kind of dragged it out, they could play the cap strat a little better. But I don't think JGX really made a mistake in that match. So yes, 228 needs to come back and figure out what to do next and how to turn that around. But at the same time, Smoke Adders in that match, they had a few points where they had some questionable decisions as well, and it was that's part of the reason that allowed 228 to come back. They've got a little tougher task against JGX here.
Just the way we called it for the Smoke Adders match, just drawing some similarities here. Drop one, Smoke Adders didn't make mistakes, and they took it to 228 pretty good. The Swamp Foxes just did not move fast enough, in our opinion. Drop 2, Smoke Adders made a big mistake, and basically gave away that 2-0 victory by recalling their lights. That was kind of the big one we saw, because both of their lights ended up getting lagged. Swamp Foxes squeaks out of that drop 2 by exploiting that mistake. Drop 3, Swamp Foxes played clean. Smoke Adders didn't really make mistakes on that one, but Swamp Foxes was aggressive early and brought it to him and got the job done. And I think we're seeing kind of the same thing here, at least in this first drop. It's hard to say how it's going to go from here. My opinion, 228's got stuff to clean up. They made mistakes, just like they were making mistakes early on in the Smoke Adders match, but they cleaned it up in that same match. They need to do that again here. Clean it up
now
and get it done.
If you're JGX, I think you look at this and you say, yeah, we lost the main engagement, the push, but it never felt like they really lost control. No. Right? They still had the caps. They had the light mechs kind of doing what they should be doing, which is staying at the edges of the engagement or at the cap points. If you got the cap points, you help in the engagement, but you stay at the edges. You're not running screaming through the middle of the enemy lines, like, trying to distract them, right? You're just harassing. You want to stay alive. They did that right. And so for JGX, I think all you really got to do, maybe clean up some of those trades, make sure you're moving together as a team when the main engagement happens, and they'll have a comfortable win if they can do that. But you're right. I mean, 228, a lot of room for improvement. They've done it before. Let's see if they can do it again.
And I do not expect JGX to make a mistake in drop 2 here. It was a very clean drop 1, like you said. I don't expect them to make a mistake. Smoke Adders did, and ended up ultimately costing them the match, because Swamp Foxes then was given the time they needed to improve. I don't think Swamp Foxes is going to have the same opportunity here. They need to clean up their play right now if they want to try and tie this up at 1-1.
Agreed.
Just waiting on the map selection here, and we'll see whether or not we're going back to Grim Plexus.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they choose to go to Grim Plexus again. Part of me wonders if you kind of throw a wrench into Swamp Foxes by trying to pick a different map. Obviously, this is now the 4th time in a row they played Grim.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Just waiting on the team captains to say that they're ready to get the map voting underway. I don't know if they're having technical difficulties or something. But we'll be with you shortly. Let's see if we can bring up map strat here. Once again, we are doing a giveaway as usual. So participation in the chat automatically gets you entered in to the giveaway.
Right when you pick up the map strat, we go to the map banning.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. And we're going right back to Grim.
That was fast.
If you're JGX, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you're Swamp Foxes, refine it. Fix it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the map here. So this is Grim Plexus, as we saw, and we had a pretty aggressive movement by JGX to get a majority of their guys up here right away. But they actually sent their Wolf Pack as well as that faster Hunchback over to Epsilon. So they had 4 mechs there versus the Wolf Pack for 228, which was only 3 mechs. And they were able to pull Dr. Killer out, but that Wolfhound came around the backside here and was able to get that nice sight line in and finish him off. You can't let yourself get caught out in an engagement like that. Everybody else pulled out. I don't know if it was a miscommunication or if he just had, like he just wanted to try and make something happen. I'm not sure, but that was a big mistake on that part, losing that javelin early on. Ultimately, though, there was a big fight around the area here. We had the Awesome up there with the PPCs and just a lot of guys here. The Stalker getting caught out, moving across this
and
way.
what surprised me there was the Stalker lived for so long. I mean, he got caught out in G8 with mechs on the hill at F7 and was able to kind of just work his way back to the hill, back to the main body. If I'm JGX, the first thing I look to clean up is how do you let the Stalker get out in G8 when the rest of their mechs are kind of back on the bottom of the hill, trading, peeking a little bit. He's out in the open, just walking around, and you're sitting on that hill. You need to bring him down and bring the pain quickly. And they didn't do that, and he actually stayed alive until almost the very end of the match. And so that's a little questionable to me how that happened. So JGX needs to clean that up. I think if they had done so, they probably would have won the main body engagement as well. If you're 228, keep your Stalker with the rest of the main body.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he was tasked with covering Epsilon. I think the Hunchback would have done a better, just kind of mirroring JGX's maneuver. I know that the Annihilator was up in Fox 7, kind of out in the open too. The Awesome, I think, had a lot of clear shots on him, but didn't see him there until he was basically jumped on by that Annihilator. Just because he was playing really passive down the side of the hill. But the Annihilator and the other guys up in Fox 7 were shooting a lot at the guy, the Locust, I believe, was trying to flip Theta back. So that one Locust was tying up those 2 assault mechs for a decent amount of time, but at the same time they were securing the cap win at that point. But ultimately, 228 got in there and they got the big guys dead. I just think, personally, if they would have done that a heck of a lot sooner, that
they definitely would have had a better chance.
They might have been able to spread out. But I really am bummed that I missed that double kill by the Wolfhound. He must have come in and just saw 2 perfectly cored mechs and just bang bang on those guys. I didn't see how it happened. I just noticed that suddenly 2 kills popped up on my screen almost instantaneously, and I just missed it. Maybe it was a strike or something. I don't know. It looked like he shot a laser through one guy and killed the other at the same time. I'll have to go back to the film for that one and see how that went down.
Moments we missed.
Of course, the teams have switched sides and will be launching here shortly. Looks like we're getting in there right now. We'll see how they play on the opposite side of the map. So is 228 gonna figure it out? Stop making mistakes, start playing clean, and see if they can take it to JGX.
Tell you what, if I'm JGX and 228 wins this one in an ugly match, I'm going to be a little concerned.
I can agree with that. I think, personally, 228 can pull this off if they clean it up. Because it didn't seem to me like... I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I want to say that it didn't seem like JGX necessarily outplayed them as much as 228 outplayed themselves. And that's why I feel like 228 can fix this. JGX played a very
there were
clean
definitely
game,
room for improvement on JGX's side. So we'll have to see, if either team can make some last-minute adjustments here.
Yep. But like we said, 228's the underdog coming into this. We'll see what happens. Not seeing any mech changes so far. Still have that Annihilator in there.
Yeah, they do.
What do you got over on the 228? Same deck?
Looks like the same deck. Javelin, Black Knight, Awesome, Banshee, Hunchback, Stalker, Locust, and Wolfhound. So yeah, I believe that is the same deck as before.
So we had Draven attempting to get Theta last time, and didn't take too much damage on the attempt, but definitely was not able to pick it up in time. We'll see if Dario in the opposite Locust is able to get there ahead of time.
It's always interesting watching these little races to Theta. One bad step and you clip a wall or slow down on a hill a little bit and you're slower. Looks like Dario is going to get there earlier, but both mechs engaging at this point. See if he can grab the cap.
They don't have that second mech over the top to get the angles, though. They had the Phoenix Hawk up there in prior matches that we've seen where after the initial engagement, especially if Dravencult was able to get a shot in there.
Theta.
He was
taking a little bit of damage from the Wolfhound as well, though.
I think if he was able to stop that initial cap long enough for the Wolfhound to show up, they could have gotten multiple angles and left it uncapped. But Dario diving in there, getting the cap where he needed it. I think just a little bit more, I guess, aggression on the Locust's part to try and stop Dario from getting that cap in the beginning would have been advantageous. But now they got to fight a cap down.
Looks like they are going to try and flip Theta as quickly as possible. They do neutralize it.
Dario now heading over to Epsilon.
The Wolfhound for JGX is a little distracted right now, not getting fire down on Theta, and they are able to flip Theta.
Big play by Dravencult. Now he needs to
Looks
not
like
pay
an
for it.
engagement at Epsilon as well.
So we got 2 mechs at Epsilon for JGX. It hasn't been captured yet. Strike was brought down but didn't do anything. I don't know if he knows this Javelin's here, though. Dr. Killer needs to be careful, and he gets chased off.
They know the Javelin's there, yeah. Dr. Killer can't have the same thing happen this match as he had last time.
Definitely playing
but
more
228
passive.
going for Kappa as well, so this is a better start for 228. JGX needs to keep an eye out. They're going to be...
We have a pretty heavy movement by 228 to get up into the city here. Dargor in that Hunchback is a little bit out. They might use this as an opportunity to push hard. Look at that. We got focus fire with those large lasers.
You want to take advantage of this.
I don't know why the Black Knight's slowing down. They need to keep going. Now he's body blocking that 4P. He needs to get out of his way so he can get shots on deck. There you go. 4P gets taken down quickly. That's a big pickup for 228. Now they need to keep that momentum.
Keep that momentum rolling. Right now, JGX not in position to receive this push. They do have the assaults finally getting up on the hill. If I was 228,
that Annihilator's so far back still. The Annihilator is so far back still. Now, if they breach around the corner, he'll be able to help, and it looks like that'll be coming up pretty shortly here, but that was a big pickup there to
That was definitely a big pickup.
And they've got the 3 cap as well.
I'm actually a little surprised right now. They have the Javelin in the backfield. He is not grabbing Epsilon. He wants to
these are bad peeks. I don't like these peeks. Peeking around a corner against an entire firing line. You either go or you don't peek. That's not going to work. Oh, we got a big strike, I think, coming down here. This might hit the entire line. Oh, it was their strike. Okay. That could have been devastating if that was the opposite side. But they've stalled out, and now they're paying for it.
Stalled out, yeah.
75%. They needed to go as a team, and they...
And this Javelin is up with the main body, and Epsilon is capped. Grab the caps, bud.
Now, some good hits there on Pasha, giving it back to that Black Knight. He's open center torso. So they've stalled out. I guess at this point, it's not a bad idea to just stay back. You've lost a ton of armor just continuously peeking.
Yeah.
They've got the awesome at 100% there, though. And Theta's attempt to be...
slow down a little bit and cap. But again, you know, they've got all
Dr.
their light
Killer's
mechs
stopping the
close
cap
to the
on
fight.
Theta. There's 2 mechs on Theta, and they cannot cap it. That's the disadvantage of having 2 mechs on Theta, is because it's very easy to stop the cap.
But Data does, and that Annihilator gets the kill on the Black Knight.
Here comes the
So
counter
we're even
push.
1 kill all, but the counter push is here.
To get out of each other's way, then. Data coming around, leading the charge in that Annihilator, and they got a massive amount of firepower coming in on that awesome.
They do get the awesome down. They've got to get the Annihilator down. Iron Kilo goes down in the Stalker. That Annihilator, double kill with the Banshee. That's just a ton of firepower.
If
I
was
think
228, you need to
228's
start.
gonna regret grabbing that cap or not grabbing the cap.
And they pretty much have to play the cap game at this point.
Yeah.
They didn't get any of the lights down either, did they?
No, they did not. So
That
there's a little bit of a
stall.
light engagement, but that was a bad stall. And when you stall out there, not grabbing Epsilon is a terrible decision in my opinion. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. That javelin's not going to be the difference in that trading match on the hill.
Yeah. But even still, that's neither here nor there, in my opinion, because they didn't take down any of the enemy lights.
Yeah.
They didn't take down main body, and I attribute pretty much all of that to they had a great push. They had a great gank on that 4P. That was momentum in their favor. Here we go, big push, and JGX backs up into
steamroll. Yeah.
JGX backs up into a firing line. You've got two choices. You can stop and don't peek the freaking corner and start setting up, maybe you've now gained terrain. Now you need to start up setting your own firing line. You've gained terrain. You can let things slow down and you can go back into the cap game now that you've gained this new terrain. Or you keep going, but stopping and individually peeking around a corner against 5 mechs shooting you in the face, that's not good. And that's exactly what cost
where I
228 right
believe
here.
the play they needed was, like you said, don't peek, set up your own firing line. You gained terrain, and the key, like I said, you gained Overwatch of Epsilon.
Yep.
Grab Epsilon, get yourself a 3 cap, make them push you, ignoring Epsilon, and then pushing forward kind of half-heartedly into this beacon game, is I think what cost them the match.
And we were pounding it basically with 228 saying, they didn't go soon enough. They didn't go soon enough. Everything up until they stopped, I think, was fantastic. Everything up until they stopped. But they had to make a decision. And those first couple mechs, there was a lot of people getting in each other's way. A lot of bumping of your friendly mechs. A lot of blocking each other's sight lines. And then doing those with an assault mech, super slow assault mech, peeking around the corner against a firing line. That gets you killed
bad news.
Very, very quickly. And so in this case, either go as a team, full push. They had the speed for it. Or
don't kill.
Slow down and enjoy your newfound terrain and your newfound ability to control cap points and make JGX come to you
and
down.
Really for JGX, outside of what I think is a misplay by that Hunchback 4P, outside of him, very clean. They took that and realized, our Hunchback just got completely caught out. They're pushing around the corner. They did the right thing, stayed back, reestablished a firing line, and turned that from a rather poor position to a much better situation, ultimately coming away with a very clean win.
And not only that, but that Annihilator was still moving. JGX could not have counter pushed at least for a while there, and that could have given 228 an even greater lead on the caps while they waited for that Annihilator to get up into the fight.
Yep.
And man, that was tough because I really thought when I saw that Hunchback go down, I thought 228 had that one in the bag. That was a big pickup. Now, it is only a medium mech, but that's a lot of lasers off the field. That's a lot of heat capacity off the field. And that's a lot of pinpoint damage off the field. And I thought that was going to be the beginning of something great there. But it's such a tough decision, and I've got, as a drop caller, I've fallen for that same thing where it's like, let's go, but not everybody's there, and so one guy peeks around and they're like, we're not there, so then you get shot up and you back up around the corner. It's like, well, tell me when you're there then. And I'm not saying that this is easy. Let me be absolutely straight. From a spectator position, hindsight's 2020. We had a special view of it of, you should have done this. But they didn't have necessarily all the information that they needed. They didn't necessarily know there was a huge firing line, but they learned pretty quick. It's really tough to slow your team down after you've been go, we're up by 1, go, and then having to hit the brakes. It's like the opposite of what your body's telling you to do.
Yep.
So it is not easy to hit the brakes. I think they needed to come out with the win, and I think that's kind of what separates really, really good teams from, you know, the just top 12 teams. So you know, that's something I think they can work on. And of course, they're not out yet. They're going to be dropping down into the losers bracket. They're still going to have an opportunity to push forward to maybe meet these guys again in the future. But I don't think Swamp Foxes is out yet. Like, I still think this is fixable stuff. This is fixable, and now they're going to have a week to think about it.
Yeah, but they definitely need to go back to the drawing board, and you know what? Maybe something other than Grim. They're kind of 50-50 on Grim so far.
That's the tough part, and that's where it gets you caught, because they've got experience on Grim. They've made mistakes on Grim, and this is something that I used to yell at my team about in Counter-Strike all the time. It's like, well, if you guys would just do my strat right, my strat would work. It's a great strat. It's not my fault. If you just do the strat right in the first place, it'll work, right?
Yeah.
So let's just keep doing it until we do the strat right. Well, there might be some merit to that, but also they might be just incredibly predictable at this point because they've played it so often.
Yep.
And but I just think that Swamp Foxes is continuously hampered by the same issues, except for that last match, which is a whole new set of issues to work through now, because they were aggressive, they moved fast, they got the job done on the first mech that they ran into. And that was looking great. And now you've got more issues that you have to work through, which is once they back up into their firing line, you know, you got to gank. You didn't just start murder balling against their whole team and shred like one guy down. That's a great start of a murder ball, and now you can move to the next guy. They got the Hunchback down, and now there's this lull where there's not a next mech to kill. So they're backing up to join their Annihilator and get a firing line on you. You don't have anything to kill. Their heat is all at the bottom, you know, and they're ready for you to come around the corner. They've got their guns trained to that corner you're about to come around. It's a slightly different situation than just a clash, and yes, get into the clash earlier than normal. So they're just going to have to go back to the film, watch how those came out, and figure out whether they can fix Grim, or, like you said, start trying to use some of this information in a different map.